Hey everybody, welcome back to Youngster Cop. We're here today to do our Liverpool versus Chelsea preview. In case you didn't know, the score was 1-1. Today I'm always joined by my lovely co-host, Sophie. How you doing, Sophie?
I'm all right. I'm a bit apprehensive of how you're going to be this podcast, though, to be honest. But no, I'm good.
I've calmed down a lot from yesterday. We got two special guests. First, Doug. How you doing, Doug, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. It's been a long time since I last spoke to you, homie. Thank you very much for having me. And I'm going to be Mr. Positivity, I think, because I always look for the positives.
and not least, we've got Finn. How you doing, Finn?
Thanks for having me on the show again today, guys. Yeah, not too bad. Lots of pros and cons to take from yesterday. I'm just excited to get involved now.
Good. So let's dive into it.
Oh God, here we go.
Obviously, it was a big test in terms of coming up against Chelsea after playing, Norwich and Burnley. Those are like games we expected us to win. So obviously we came up against Chelsea. We just look at the lineup. So obviously, Klopp kind of shocked a lot of people in terms of lineup. Obviously he started Harvey Elliott, which is a big call, and then obviously left out Thiago and Keita. But he also started Bobby up top and left out Jota. So we'll start with you, Doug. What do you think of the lineup? Were you shocked by that? Did you think Jota should have started, or were you happy seeing Bobby? Basically, he has a good record against Chelsea. Do you think it was the right decision to play Elliott because that meant Henderson was on the left-hand side of midfield, or do you think you would have gone the same lineup?
It was first of all, the lineup really did shock me, but I did like the fact that Klopp was showing faith in Elliott. I don't think Elliott deserved to be dropped from that Burnley game. I thought he was really, really good. I think he was one of the bright sparks yesterday. I thought he was excellent. I thought he had that's 2 games in a row for an 18-year-old, and he has not looked out of place as well. Henderson, the left side of midfielder, I don't think that worked. I honestly do not think that worked yesterday. Funnily enough, we said on our preview, we said on the Friday LC Focus podcast, Finn was there and Sophie was there. We actually had a midfield, I think it was Fab, Naby and Hendo. And I was shocked to see Naby dropped, because I think Naby's been very, very good this time around. Jota to be dropped for Firmino, I can understand the logic, but you looked at that game yesterday and Bobby, for me, was just non-existent. He did not do anything good, and now he's injured, which is the nightmare of starts for us. But I was shocked with the lineup, but actually, I thought it was actually a good attacking lineup, and I thought it was quite a brave lineup from Klopp.
What about you, Finn? What did you think of the lineup in total?
Yeah, no, I can completely understand Doug's sentiments in regards to the lineup there. What I will say is it looked like, obviously, from the team sheet before the formation kind of was out there on the field, it looked like we kind of gone a bit more reserved, actually, in terms of we had Virgil and Matip. Obviously, Kostas was omitted from the squad, even though I think he kind of did deserve to play. I mean, obviously, Klopp bases his formations and his team selection off of what goes on in training, so Robbo must have been doing something right in training. He managed to make the bench against Burnley last week. It was a bit of a shock, but I feel like on paper it was the right decision to have made, and you'll only really know once the game's played out. But in terms of the midfield, it looked to me on paper as if Hendo and Fab were going to play the 2 6s, which we saw quite a lot last season, and maybe have Harvey Elliott in that marauding 8 role. But it really didn't pan out like that. Obviously, it ended up being Fabinho solo in the 6 and having 2 8s, as Doug mentioned, with Henderson on the left-hand side, which for me, again, I love how much his work rate and his ethic and his leadership, but he did look like he had a little bit of rust there that he needs to work through. Obviously, we know why, or we can understand why. Came back late from pre-season. The only game minutes that he had under his belt really was the behind closed doors 4-1 win against Aston Villa. And the same could be said for Thiago. So it doesn't surprise me that Thiago was omitted from the squad. But as Doug did allude to, I do feel like Naby Keita should really have featured. He's been on smoke. He's looked great in pre-season. Oh, sorry. Sorry, can I go to someone next, please?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. So we're going to you, Soph. What did you think of the other lineup when you saw it?
You know what? Apart from the Harvey Elliott thing, the lineup was smack bang what you'd expect it to be fair. I mean, I personally would have started Jota over Bobby. However, I do think when Bobby was on the pitch, I do disagree that he didn't do anything. Because when I was watching the game, you know, as I said, everyone's entitled to their opinion. But Bobby's work rate was absolutely impeccable. He was tracking all over that field. So, yes, I would have preferred Jota to have started because he's got that burst of pace, that energy, and that clinical nature in front of goal. I would have preferred that. But I understand why Klopp did it. Apart from Harvey Elliott instead of Naby, because if he'd have played Naby over Harvey Elliott, then Hendo would have been on the right, Naby would have been on the left, and it was only because Harvey Elliott has that really good chemistry with Mo Salah that he was on the right-hand side, and that's where the feed can come through, and we saw that in the game. But I don't think anything was a shock, really, apart from that Harvey Elliott. But, you know, it was a team. We knew we were going up against Chelsea, who we knew were going to sit behind the ball. They were going to be a really defensive team to break down. And, you know, I was speaking to Keith at the end of the match yesterday, and I was like, I don't understand why people are so irate over it because, you know, 24 hours ago, we were all saying how this was going to be a really difficult team. Chelsea are going to be a very difficult team to break down. They're going to be very defensive, and they did that, and they did it very well. They were organised. And I don't think that our lineup, had we changed it anymore, would have been able to do anything different than what happened. So, to be fair, I wasn't displeased with the lineup at all. I was quite happy with it.
Yeah, I think my reservations over that lineup was I didn't like Hendo being on the left-hand side. I don't think Klopp was going to play two sixes. I didn't like Hendo on the left-hand side, and I think
it looked unnatural, didn't it?
Yeah, he did look good. Yeah, I don't think we've very played him there either. Really, that I recall. He's normally a 6 or a right 8, so I didn't understand. It didn't look natural that side.
But I get why he's put him on that left. Sorry to just interject there, homie. But I get why you put Hendo on the left side. He wanted to play the captain. He was never going to play in a 6 role when Fabinho was there. You don't need 2 6s when Fabinho is there. He does the job very well on his own. Harvey Elliott has to be on the right hand side because of his chemistry with Mo Salah and his ability to run down that wing. That if he was so hellbent on playing Harvey Elliott, he had no other option but to put Hendo on that left. And yes, at times it looked very unnatural and a bit disconjointed. But would you have not started Hendo and put Naby, Fabinho, and Elliott on? Not against Chelsea.
I wouldn't have started Elliott yesterday, personally. I would have started Keita, Hendo, Fabinho. As soon as Elliott played, I wouldn't have started him yesterday. Purely.
No,
and I think that unbalanced the whole team.
On it.
But I think I get that, but I think that unbalanced the whole team in terms of Hendo being the left. And plus, I don't like this thing of Trent coming so centrally all the time because he's then doing crosses from deep as well. So that was my just take on it. Just going to go into the chat. Ravi says, big up. Liverpool should have won the game, but glad we didn't lose. Seamus says, good evening. Good to see you, Seamus. Good to see you, mate. Dinesh says, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good to see you, mate. CR, I think this is the first time joining us. Good to see you, mate. You're welcome. Good to see you from Malta that you've joined in. Appreciate it. Good to see people all over the world tune in, so appreciate it. Everyone, do smash the like, subscribe button if you haven't done. We appreciate it. It helps us grow the channel and get to more people. Okay, so moving on. So the first 15 minutes, it felt as if both teams were kind of like sizing each other up. There wasn't really anything that was much going in that first 15 minutes. It's more the case of like sometimes, as you expect in these big games, you know, both teams trying to understand who's doing what. But then obviously there was that Trent chance when he passed that amazing ball to Hendo. And I don't know why Hendo was trying to square that, why he's not gone for goal. Because I get it being selfless and trying to square that to maybe Salah or I think it was Bobby also in the middle. But he should be going for goal. Like, Fred, what did you think of that chance? Because that pass to Trent was sublime. And Hendo, we know Hendo's got it in to score good goals.
After that game yesterday, right, I actually have started to debate with myself whether I should record my live reactions of games because I literally stood up and was just like, Brian! Because that's Jordan's middle name, innit? It's like every time he has a great chance or comes in on goal, I'm just like, Brian! And that was just one of them words. I was like, come on, Jordan, Brian Henderson. You really are. Yeah, I do. I full name all the players as well. So I was just like, come on, Brian, you could do it. Do what you did at Stamford Bridge. Come on. But no, honestly, I was really impressed with the first 15 minutes. We sized each other up, and I'm just happy. Matip needs some respect on his name for the games that he's available. Yeah, I know that this guy plays 10 games a season, but them 10 games, he just shuts the door. He literally, they're both bouncers. They've both got their SIA bouncer licenses because literally when they're working together, they just close the door, and we put that kind of stamp on them early doors. And I feel like Lukaku, I heard the commentators say that Lukaku is not bottled standing up against Virgil because he does play off of Virgil's side naturally to come in and use his strong left foot. However, there was a lot of debate leading up to it where he would position himself, whether he would jostle between the two. And the fact remains is that he got pocketed for the game.
That's true. Doug, what did you think of that Henderson chance like early on in the game? Because that could have settled everyone's nerves and it would have put Chelsea in the back foot because, you know, I think Chelsea are a very good team when they go 1-0 up in terms of being able to sit back. I'm not sure how good they are when they go 1-0 down themselves.
Yeah, I think it's been a thing under Tuchel that when they go 1-0 down, they don't seem to come back, which is a big thing about Chelsea. But yeah, that chance, I don't know why he's not going for goal, because I think if he goes with his left foot, I think if he goes across Mendy, I think that's in the back of the net. You know, we all say the goalkeeper shouldn't be beat on their near post, so even he could still go for that near post, and you know, it's a split second where he, you know, decides to, you know, pass it. But I wonder if that was for like Mane, because I think the thing is, but Hendo and Mane I think got in each other's way. So I think Mane was probably the better option to hit that shot. But yeah, big chance, and unfortunately, you know, had we scored that, we probably win the game, and that's the total thing about that. We probably go on and win that game, which is really annoying. But having said that, I thought, to be honest, I thought if you look at that game yesterday, I think Chelsea's midfield were sloppy. Our midfield was sloppy. Do you know what it actually felt like? It actually felt like a friendly. I actually thought it felt like a friendly yesterday from both sides. I don't think there was a lot of there wasn't a lot in it for sure. I mean, obviously we will come on to later on you know, the big decision, which was obviously the red card. But I thought both midfields were really sloppy yesterday. I don't know what you other three think, but I felt both midfields were really sloppy, both giving the ball away very cheaply.
Yeah, I think we'll get to you, Sophie, in a minute, but I just want to ask you that question because Sophie as well, because I did notice there quite a few times in that first half, like Doug saying that we gave the ball, both teams were sloppily. I think it was a bit where Firmino took on like two players and then he gave the ball away, and he wasn't the only one. There was times when Elliott sometimes gave the ball away, or the centre backs, or different players. So there was that sloppiness at the beginning where people were giving the ball away. So what did you think of that, like in terms of from Liverpool's point of view, how we were handling the game in that first half in terms of keeping the ball in the correct manner?
Look, that first half was frustrating for all of us to watch. You know, a stray ball getting just thrown into the middle of nowhere. There was no players around. It was like, why aren't you looking at who's there? I think those stray balls and like giving the ball away wasn't sloppiness on the. Now this is going to sound. Just bear with me, okay? It wasn't sloppiness on the person who had the ball, on the player. It was sloppiness of the players around them. We weren't quick enough. Like, I went to my dad's to watch a match yesterday, and the pair of us were screaming, move quicker. You know, we'd make a break for it. We'd have the ball. Harvey Elliott would run off, and then he'd go to pass it. You do. What would it be? You know, a back pass behind defenders, of Chelsea's defenders, where, you know, Mo Salah should be. And he wasn't there. And, Harvey would then be dispossessing the ball, and Chelsea would have a counter. And it was just, there was no communication for it, and there were sloppy passes. You know, had there been communication, had there been a bit more urgency about the boys, you know, actual like physicality on the pitch, then those stray balls would have been picked up. I mean, there was one, there was quite a few actually, where they were dinking them in behind each other, which we've seen them do countless times in games. And Bobby picks it up, and Bobby wasn't there. They weren't quick enough, and it just contributed overall to a very sloppy first 30 minutes on both sides. Like, not just Liverpool, Chelsea were doing the same thing, and I think it was neither team wanted to be fully attacking, but at that point, neither team wanted to be fully defensive either. So they were kind of like either side of the fence, just like hedging the bet, seeing what the other team was trying to do. And I think because they were so reserved, trying to figure each other out, it led to a lot of sloppiness and open play in the midfield, which then obviously the midfield battle became very loose, and it continued that way through the entire game. So it was just lack of cohesion. Again, it just didn't match up with the intensity that you'd expect for that game.
Yeah, I agree with that. Just reading some of the comments here. Ali says that probably was Hendo going for a goal. He just found the facilities to pull it off. LFC says it looked about 60 minutes that goal was coming and we just ran out of steam. I think he's also saying that we ran out of ideas. I was speaking last night.
I just want to go off that comment there. The goal was coming, but we just ran out of steam. I see where you're coming from, but I completely disagree that we ran out of steam. Those boys didn't stop. And if you look at the stats that were released after the game of our press and attack versus Chelsea's attack, I think they had 3 or 4 high-intensity presses the entire 90-odd minutes, whereas Liverpool were just dominating over and over and over again. Chelsea, where credit is due, did really, really well to hold us off because it was constant wave after wave after wave after wave. We didn't run out of steam. We ran out of ideas. It wasn't the lack of intensity was there no more. There was not lack of willpower. It was just a lack of, what do we do? We've tried the crosses. We've tried cutting in. We've tried passing it through the midfield. We've tried set pieces. Nothing's breaking down this Chelsea back line. Nothing's breaking down this block. What on earth can we possibly do more? So credit to the boys. They continued trying right until that final whistle. We had that final attempt. And, they still went for it. Like, it was, still 20 minutes left in the game. So I think you've got to give credit to the boys there. They didn't give up, but they ran out of creativity.
Good to see you, Annie. Welcome again, mate. So going to you, Finn. Like, the Havertz goal, great header, but the marking was so sloppily. Like, how was he allowed to just run kind of unmarked, unchallenged to get the header off? Because it's a great goal, but no one was tracking him, and that shouldn't be happening. To be honest,
it just comes down to the unity in the group. Obviously, there's a captain there to instruct people, and I'm sorry, but with the experience under Robertson's belt, he should be tight marking. And that just goes down to the judgment. I mean, Costas could have been that guy. He could have picked him up. He might have actually missed the header just as equally, and it could have just looped over and in. What I will say about the header from Chelsea's perspective, it's a 1 in 1,000. That for me was a flick on. It was a flick onto the back post for someone to bury off, yeah? You saw the postage stamp, the size of the gap to get between the glove and the crossbar, and the arc and the shape. I play in goal myself. That's my position. And to position yourself in that way is extremely difficult, especially when you think that your front post is covered. So we had markers on the front post, but it was Robbo that was late to run to the obviously the darting run from Kai Havertz. I feel like it could happen to any team. I don't think you isolate Robertson. You don't isolate him to be at fault for that. But there's team accountability. Obviously, we should have been well drilled, but we weren't well drilled. You practice that week in, week out at the AXA training ground. Like, if you can't get set pieces right against, let's be fair, Chelsea, yeah, they've got some tall players. They've got Thiago Silva, Romelu Lukaku. Kai Havertz is 6'1". They've got tall players. And when they're stood up against Robbo and Harvey Elliott and Mo Salah, of course they're going to have that advantage compared to us. So for me, I'm not actually worried about how we conceded that goal. It's about how we came back. It's about how we came back and got ourselves back into the fixture, for me.
Can we just talk about that goal? I'm probably going to have a very unpopular opinion on this goal. Everyone was going on about how it was a brilliant header. I know you, Doug, you said yourself on Twitter how it was a really good header. For me, it was a shitty header. He had no directionality on that ball. He did not do that with intent. That ball comes and it hits him on the side of the back of his head. He doesn't even try and flick it. He tries to hit it with the front part of his temple. to knock it in. Or as Finn's made a point of trying to pass it on to get dinked in, he had no idea where that was going. Absolutely no idea where that ball was going. He did not know. It was not an intentional header for me. It was a lucky header. And if had that been for one of our players, I'd have been fucking buzzing about it. But it was where the pundits and everyone else was going on about it, saying how it was such a fantastic header, a wonderful piece by him, excellent skills, awareness, all this shite. And my response was, okay, if that was something he's practiced to do, let him do it again. How many games is he going to do that? How many games is he going to be able to achieve a header at that angle from a corner at that part of his head? Please explain to me. Let's go through his stats. How many times in his career has he done that? Because I know if we go through Virgil's stats and Matip's stats, we can find them heading the ball in. So you can say that they successfully head goals because that's their intent. There was no intent. It was a good goal. It was a fluke goal. It wasn't down to skill. Like, I'll hold my hands up and say that Chelsea goal, I watched it and I went, oh, for fuck's sake, that's such a lucky goal to concede. But it was good because if it had been us, we'd have been buzzing for it. But please don't confuse just sheer luck and finesse over actual intent and skill. There was no intent. There was no skill put behind that. It was just fortunate. So please, I'm begging, stop hyping up his goal like it was something massive.
I'm not hyping up the goal. I'm not hyping the goal.
No, I just mean people in general.
Yeah.
Overhyping the goal like it was some magical thing. It wasn't like Alisson's goal. Let's just play devil's advocate in comparison. Alisson's goal against West Brom had clear intent, clear directionality. You knew exactly where he was through. He was through on goal before it. He had every intent behind it. Yes, a bit of finesse, yes, a bit of skill, yes, a bit of luck came into it, as does every goal. But there was no intent. There was no nothing. So please don't hype it more than it was. It's done my head in.
Can I just say that I fucking hate zonal marking. I absolutely hate it. If someone's on the post, that is not going in. It's as simple as that. Whatever, I have no idea why we're starting zonal marking again. We're going back to the Brendan Rodgers days, and that really pissed me off when we zonal marked went under him, and it didn't work. Yesterday, just a simple corner, and like people are blaming Alisson. Like Alisson's had to come out on Twitter and say, "What the hell are you talking about?"
You can't pin it on a keeper there. Talking from experience in Sunday League, you cannot pin that on your goalkeeper. You've done absolutely everything within your power. Like,
there are certain goals that you can blame on a keeper. You know, I know we spoke about, after our Champions League, we spoke about it on Friday, didn't we, with Adrian making those mistakes. He should have got a foot on it. There are some times where a goalkeeper is at fault because they make a stupid error. There was no way. No keeper would have saved that. No. I'm sorry, and if they did, it would have been luck. It would have been, good fortune that they did it.
I didn't actually know that Alisson had to come out and make a statement. That's actually quite embarrassing for our fan base.
Yeah, it was the ESPN page who spread a load of shit anyway. I'll say that now because they're an American company. So why are they coming out with that, saying, "Oh, Alisson didn't see the goal"? If you're blaming that on Alisson, then honestly, you just don't know ball. I'm sorry, but Alisson had no chance with that header. Absolutely no chance.
Even if he did have a chance, sometimes your goalkeeper, when it's coming off a corner, it's a very difficult thing. And Finn, yourself as a goalkeeper, you know that corners are very difficult to defend. When you've got, double the men in your box, the box is not that big anyway. And you've got all these men jumping and pushing and everywhere. They're on top of you, on your line. And you've got to make a split choice decision like that. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you get pushed off your line. Sometimes you fluff your move. Sometimes you read the ball wrong because it's coming in swinging. It's difficult. So do you know what? If your keeper does let one go in on a corner, then that's why set pieces are so difficult to defend against, because they are practiced constantly over and over and over again. So you can't blame Alisson for that. No way. If you want to blame anyone, blame the zonal marking. Blame the tactic that was put in place to defend the corner.
I feel like that was set up, if I can just add, I feel like that was set up to obviously counteract Chelsea. I don't think we'll see that every single game across the season. Obviously, it's difficult to match up player for player and defending against Chelsea. Obviously, as I mentioned, due to their height, the majority of them. And if somebody was to be put on the front post, it's more than likely going to be the shortest player. So it could, I can't recall who was on that front post, but it should be someone like Mo, or Harvey Elliott, just to see if they can stand in front of anything that comes in.
I think it was Van Dijk that was closest, I think, to Alisson when the goal was scored. Yeah.
Right, okay.
Did you notice that Salah was standing normally where Hendo does on corners?
Yeah.
And that confused me. And I know they were trying to do it for the counter break, hoping to get it to Mo, and then Mo would run off. But that didn't work for me because I'm watching Mo standing on the edge of the box and I'm thinking, no, I'd rather have Hendo where he normally stands or Fabinho on the edge of the box, retrieve the ball off a clearance, hoof it up, and then watch Salah sprint down for it. That's what we normally do. That's our normal model. I didn't like seeing Mo Salah not in the box for it. It just didn't sit right.
Yeah. Going to some of the comments here. Ali says in big games when you need someone to take control in the field, unfortunately Henderson can't do that. I don't agree with that. For me, it was a bit sloppy game, and of course he had personal issues. Elliott is 18. He would like to have seen Thiago Fabinho Elliott yesterday. In hindsight, Seamus says Chelsea defended so well in that second half with 10 men. I think we lacked a bit of creativity in the second half. Conroy Talk says he runs by Fabinho Finn.
Okay, cheers, Conroy.
Fabinho doesn't spot him. I think maybe he's talking about Havertz. Christopher Edwards says Lukaku couldn't get past the rusty of VVD. We'll get on to that later on about how VVD and Matip parked him. Ali says Robertson looked like he wasn't fully fit. Annie says it was a poor goal to concede. Chris Evans said we need a creative midfielder so we don't just spam crosses all the time. Let's go here. Ali says Klopp chases Tsimikas off the bench before Minamino. Chose Tsimikas off the bench before Minamino, and Origi says it all. Ali said we don't sign a fielder before window. Our debts will be worried for next year. Same as we went in last year with 3 centre backs and it killed us. Chris Evans is not a proper fan of you blaming Alisson. Yeah, so going back, obviously Chelsea had that chance where I think Mount probably should have done better. I think that was the only time I thought. I think it was the same thing with Matip got caught out in terms of he went too tight to Lukaku and got turned. There's the same passage play, so there's the only time that Lukaku caught him out. So yeah, Mount probably should have done better with that chance. So we could have gone 2-0 down at that point. But then we move on past that. We go to the James handball. So I want to get everyone's point of view because when the rules for me state if you deny clear goal scoring opportunity, it's a red card. Now Chelsea fans were complaining that wasn't a red, that hit his knee, bounced up, but you could see his arm move. So look, there was intent there. They're also complaining that it wasn't a red card. I've seen Gary Lineker say that that's a soft red card. It shouldn't be a red card. But then obviously, like I said, the rules state it was a clear stop a goal scoring opportunity. It's a red. It's a red. So we'll start with you, Doug. Is that a penalty? And is that a red card?
100%. And I'm sorry. Chelsea fans can complain all they want, but the fact is that James has deliberately done arm movement to stop that ball. Because if he doesn't, it's in the back of the net. So it's 100% a red card, and it's 100% a penalty. I don't care if it came off his leg. Don't care a monkey's if it came off his leg. The fact is that wherever it is in the box, if it's a handball that leads to a goal being scored or a non-goal being scored, it's a penalty and it's a red card. I am honestly befounded, or astounded, I should say, by the amount of Chelsea fans saying that was not a red card. I am sorry, but that was as clear as day a red card, in my honest opinion. I think Anthony Taylor takes a lot of the flack anyway, because obviously VAR decided to get him over to the screen, and his decision was made completely by one still image. Now, I'm sorry, but if you're getting a decision to do with a still image, then they must have just had one angle, because that was honestly ridiculous. Yes, Matip should score. Matip should score. It was a stramash, but Yeah, Reece James, I'm sorry. It was a red card. 100% red card for me.
I can see you're itching to say something, Sophie, so I'm going to go to you before I go to Finn. I can see you got something in your face.
I had full out war. I don't know whether you saw my Twitter after that frigging penalty decision, but I had full out war for a good half an hour or so. Actually, for hours, because it carried on after the match. And I said to me, like, if you don't understand the rules of football right now at this point, I can't help you. Because if that wasn't a red card in your opinion, then I'm sorry, you're fucking thick. The rules of the game, quite clearly in black and white, say any player anywhere in the penalty box who touches their ball with an intentional handball and denies a goal-scoring opportunity is automatically forfeited to the other team as a penalty, and an immediate red card is shown. Yes, it's a harsh rule. I will concede that it's harsh. You know, did he probably decide, I'm going to handball this and hit it with my arm and try and... Probably not. It was probably just a quick, oh shit, you know, a panic decision. But at the end of the day, according to the letter of the law, that is an intentional handball, and it is a red card. I'm sorry. If it happened to us, yes, I'd be furious too. And I understand Chelsea fans, they're upset about it and they're upheaval. I get that. I'd be the same. It's football. We're very passionate about it. That's understandable. But I'm sorry. As Doug's just rightfully said, it's a penalty all day long. And his position, his body's position tells me immediately that is... regardless of everything else, his body's position, he's facing straight on the line. He turns and brings his right knee up. Automatically, when you do that, I don't know whether you've tried it yourselves, but when you do that, your shoulder follows your knee and goes behind your back.
Yeah, it's the movement that's actually done him. It's the movement that's done him. It's the movement that's done him because it's that movement with the right arm. It's that movement with the right arm.
It's when you turn around and you twist your body, your shoulder goes behind your chest, your elbow goes to your ribcage, and your hand's there. Okay? If he's hit it with that, that's a natural position because he's turning his body that way. Natural position. However, the way he's done it, he's brought his shoulder back forward, scooped it up, and his arm's gone like that. This is not a natural position when your knee's facing that way, when your hip is aligned that way. It's not a natural position for your body to be in, so immediately that's a concession of a penalty. I'm sorry, and you can sit there and you can argue and you can say what you want, but that's a penalty. And if you've got a problem with that, then you take that up with the rules. You take that up with UEFA, you take that up with the FA, but at the end of the day, that law has not changed. I know we've had a lot of concession and a lot of who said what and what regarding handballs in the last 18 months or so. However, that is one of the rules that has consistently been in black and white and hasn't altered since. And if you can't accept the judgment of the referee and the VAR and the rules of your game, then I'm sorry, but you shouldn't be watching football, in my opinion. And I definitely don't agree with Mendy kicking out at Henderson afterwards because he's lost his spat his dummy off the camp. That is unsportsmanship behaviour. Absolutely disgusting.
Did you also notice that Rudiger actually kicked away the penalty spot as well?
Yeah. Did you know
that should have been a yellow?
Do you know what? When Mendy was in Salah's face in front of the penalty, when he's getting ready to take the kick, that should have been given a caution. Because
both Mendy and Rudiger received a yellow card.
But Mendy got a yellow
did they? Good, because you shouldn't get rid of that. But you should not do that to the penalty spot. I remember Torres did it many years ago, Old Trafford. It's just the heat of the moment that you're like that you get in the heat of the moment, you do something like that, but that was ridiculous from Rudiger, and Mendy with Henderson, that was just ridiculous.
But it was their attitude for it. Like, I know it was a shitty penalty to concede. It was a shitty penalty to concede because of a silly split-second poor decision-making by Reece James, and that's all it was. He made a poor decision-making. It wasn't really intentional that he thought, I'm going to handball this. But he's intentionally blocked a goal-scoring opportunity and he's denied it. And unfortunately, like I said, that's the rule. Suck it up, buttercup. It is what it is. Deal with it. Put your head back on. Don't start kicking out at other players and starting a fight on the pitch because you can't get your own way like a petulant child. That's the rule of the game. Simple as that. But I had it. So many people, pundits and actual Liverpool fans saying that wasn't a penalty. I'm sorry. It was. It wasn't a stonewall penalty. But according to the rules of the game, it's a fucking penalty, clear as day. So shut your face. And now I'm done.
And in the chat, do smash the like, subscribe button. What about you, Finn? What did you
I'm
feel?
glad you saved me till after, Sophie, because the way I view it, obviously the chance it was fired in, it hits his leg, he opens up his body, and I've been there myself on the line where you open up your body to try and get some sort of shape on it to steer it away, whether it be for a corner, whether it be to go long. Your body does naturally open up, and to see his arm essentially just above his leg, for me, I would dispute the fact that it was intentional at all. However, I agree with the sentiment, the fact that it was a red card. It is harsh, but as people have mentioned, it's the letter of the law. You have to judge it accordingly. And for anyone, Liverpool, Chelsea alike, the feeling for me is that there's salt in the tears, because it is irrespective of if Anthony Taylor has walked over to the VAR screen and looked at a still image. The guy has got an earpiece on from the fourth official at Stockley Park. He is relaying absolutely all of this information into his ear. He's getting live feed updates. They're telling him, we can't make the decision. This is what's happened. You need to go over and assess it. So as far as that conversation that has taken place with Anthony Taylor and the guys at Stockley Park, he's been fed updates constantly. He's then taken the decision to go over and make the final judgment. And for me, that's it. Put it to bed. Put it to bed. And yeah, as people have mentioned in the stream tonight, you don't react like that. Yes, it's harsh, but you as professional footballers that you still want to be in this game, you don't react like that. And for me, the dissent towards the referee is absolutely disgusting. Big up to Conroy Talks in the chat today. One of my good mates. We've been having a conversation about the disgusting post, the petition that's come up online to sack Anthony Taylor from the Referee Association. 40,000 signatures to have him sacked is disgusting. This is someone's livelihood. You don't get... This is the lowest paid guy on the pitch, yeah? He is the lowest paid guy on the pitch week in, week out, and has to deal with the flack of 22 players plus however many thousands in the ground and all the viewers at home. Mike Dean has had death threats. These referees do not get paid to do this job, to suffer disgusting, abhorrent abuse, irrespective of the outcome of a game. I'm passionate about this because in rugby, you would not see that behaviour. Everyone would have been sin-binned or sent off. They would have been sent to the stands. And the amount of people that reacted from the Chelsea team, it would have been a forfeited match. If they brought down the gauntlet and really, really dealt with this to squash it out from the game, it would have been an abandoned match. I personally feel Rudiger would have been sent off. I feel like Edouard Mendy would have been close to it. I feel like Cesar has Piliqueta. It was disgusting. And I wouldn't if it happened from Liverpool players, I would expect the fan base to rebel, because that's how community driven we are. We don't expect to see scenes like that, irrespective of the nature of what happened during the incident. And it's wound me up seeing that today. It's disgusting. 40,000 people have signed a petition to have him sacked, and he's doing his job.
Do you know what, right? Let's put this into real... Sorry, Finn, to cut you off.
Yeah, you
put that into real world context, right? We all have jobs. We are all adults, okay? You go into work and your boss turns around to you and gives you an opinion or gives you a job or a task you don't like doing. You get in their face and start screaming blue murder at them. You're sacked.
Yeah.
You are out before you can say the next word out of your mouth. You are out. So I completely agree with Finn. Like, okay, yeah, referees are shite in the English league. I'll give it that. They make very poor choices, very poor decisions, and they're not as good. You go to Champions League and the referee and the quality is so much better. However, that being said, so far this season, the refereeing has, for me, been remarkably better.
It has been.
They've let teams flow a lot more. They've not been giving it for silly little fouls and stuff. I think sometimes they've gone a bit too far and they're not giving fouls where they should be, but it's fine. They'll find that balance. Okay? But they've done something about what we've all complained about last season. But Finn has hit the nail right on the head there. How dare you, as a football fan, make a petition to get a man sacked because you don't like the decision he made in a football match? How spoilt and arrogant do you have to be that you deem yourself judge and jury, that you have the right to destroy a man's career because you didn't like that he gave a penalty? Grow up.
It was a correct decision as well. That's the most important thing.
Even if it wasn't, because we've seen penalties given for a lot less. Okay, yeah. Even if it was the wrong decision, that was the decision of the referee and the assistants in that game. Yeah. You might not like it. You might not agree with it. You have every right to criticize it. But don't you dare ever think that you are above anybody else and you can destroy someone's career like that. It's not okay.
Yeah, I agree there. Going to the chat, Annie says we'll send it off, red card all day. Downton Abbey says clear red, or no, clear pen, I mean. Annie's obviously saying 100% agrees. Chris Edwards says Chelsea bunch of crybabies. Seamus says it's the rules, simple as that. Some of the Chelsea players before the pen was taken and after Salah scored was very unsportsman by Chelsea. Okay. You know, tactical tacky. If you agree with my points, tell me what's wrong with my point rather than just saying I've got all for worst football takes ever. You know
what, the tactical tacky, a lot of the times I disagree with the homie's opinion and he disagrees with mine. That's just the way it is. We're all football fans. We're all going to have different opinions, but you have to respect somebody's opinion at the same time. You might not agree with it.
I would disagree, but say what's wrong with my opinion. Don't just say it's the worst football take ever. Give me actual,
back it up, please.
Yeah, give me actual context. Alex, can tell Sophie is born with a filler this weekend.
I haven't. We really haven't. We've had a lovely weekend. I'm just really annoyed about this Chelsea, like the fallout of the game. That's what's annoyed me.
G20
evening. A load of positives. There's so many positives that I've not had to express yet, but Harvey Elliott being one of them.
But the reason I'm angry about it, the reactions of other people.
We've still got to cover, so we'll get to all that positive stuff. Don't worry, we've still got a bit to cover.
We're allowed to talk, damn it.
So moving on. So there's all for the Salah penalty, and I saw a stat. I think someone posted today that how Salah's one of the best penalty takers in the Premiership, probably ever, because of like his placements. They're never the same placements all the same time, like where he takes it, you know. And also with all the how Chelsea were trying to stop him, distract him, balls of steel to still ignore that, full concentration, just holding the ball, ignore what they're trying to do, ignore them, Jorginho, Rudiger trying to get in his face, and then slot that under pressure. Like, you know, we'll start with you, Finn. How cool, calm, collected is that? You know, in that, because it's easy for anyone to miss that penalty, to get psyched out and miss it. We've seen it with players get psyched out.
He's a one-season wonder, Wahomie. Don't forget it. Now, do you know what? Right, yeah, it actually makes my heart like feel so warm and nice because literally that guy had got so much stick. Yeah, when he arrived, he was a Chelsea washed-up player. Blah 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 blah. I've heard it all before. Yeah, but the thing is, he took that so calm, so collected. But that's just a small insight to who he is off the pitch as well as on the pitch. Is that he is a calm, collected inspiration to all of the Liverpool fan base and the players inside. The one thing that I want to say as well is I've seen a still image, right, where all of these Chelsea players are surrounding the referee. Even the Liverpool players are surrounding the referee to try and break it up and whatnot. And you just see Mohamed Salah praying. I love to see it. It's his faith. It's what drives him forward, him and Mane. And for me, it's a massive, massive indicator that he's blessed. He's driven he's not driven or fueled by materialism. He is not fueled by that. He is fueled by the higher quality stuff. And for me, when I saw him doing his praying celebration, and he did it extended as well, I feel like he did do a proper ritual after he celebrated that goal. And it's just very rewarding to see that. I love that about Mo Salah. I love that he carries his faith to the forefront and he uses that as an inspiration to kind of keep himself calm, to kind of radiate that to the wider public. And I just love it. I just love to see that from Mo as well. So just wanted to chuck that in there.
Before we move into you, Doug, everyone do smash that like, subscribe button. You haven't done. We appreciate it. What about you, Doug? What do you think of Mo's nerves are still in that moment?
I think the thing is with Mo, you always are confident with his penalties. Whenever he takes a penalty now, I'm thinking goal, because he's so good at that run up, and then obviously he put Mendy the wrong way. he's just so good at penalties. I thought James Milner was good at penalties, but I tell you something, Mo Salah is undoubtedly our penalty kick taker if Milner is not on the pitch. So I feel more confident with Mo taking penalties now. I think he's just fantastic, and I think he's one goal away from 100 in the Premier League as well, which is mind blowing.
It's crazy. You couldn't have forecast that at all. He was putting up great stats for Roma, but that is just something special. I think he's not far off of becoming the highest scoring African footballer of all time.
I think he's two or three off Drogba as well.
2 or 3 off Drogba. That just says it all. Drogba was fantastic for Chelsea. I know Salah is like, was it 161? I think it's 199 goals and 161 appearances. So if he scores against Leeds, that's 100 goals and 162 appearances. Mind blowing. His stats are astronomical.
Factor in the assists as well. People sleep on that as well. Though. Factor in the goal contributions as a whole, and that guy people sleep on him as well. I've seen people come out and say Sadio Mane is the best player in the world. I'm not going to name drop him, but I think we all know who they are. And for me, there's never been a debate. It's always been Mo Salah, in my opinion. Always been Mo Salah.
Yeah, 100%.
Salah's just incredible, isn't he? Just before we finish, he is incredible. There's no denying it, and people only love to pick on him because they slept on him.
He carried us through last season as well.
Nobody thought he was going to be capable of what he'd done, and now he's done it 5 seasons on the run, and he'll do it again now, and he's absolutely phenomenal. But you know what? It's like you said, whenever there's an argument on the pitch, whenever there's an issue, he's never involved. He's never raising his voice. He's never argumentative. He's never arrogant. He never gets in the keeper's face after scoring a goal. Never winds anyone up. He's always very humble. And
yesterday he showed it as well. You could see he was visibly frustrated, but he always had a smile on his face.
But
when he missed his chances, that's it. He's self-critical, and that's where the line is drawn. It's never extended out. It may be a very, very rare occasion, but that's probably a 1 in 50.
I love him. I love him. Yeah. And I love his little praying celebrations all the time.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, I thought for most of that game yesterday, Salah had Alonso on toast. He kept whizzing past them.
That whole flank just locked them down. Locked them down. And the Chelsea fan base going into the game knew that was going to be the case. They were begging for Chilwell to start. He's not started a game this season, and they were begging for him to start. So it just goes to show that there was evidence and proof, really, that it was going to work. It's just such a shame, isn't it, guys, that we just didn't have that kind of end product.
Yeah.
So obviously before half time, Bobby got injured. I think it was a hamstring.
From what I've heard, Bobby was 60% match fit yesterday going into the game.
Why did they start him over Jota?
Exactly. And now look what we're faced with a couple of days in the transfer window. And the thing is, a hamstring injury is a muscle injury. It's pretty similar to Robbo's ankle sprain. He could be back in 2 weeks if it's not serious. But the thing is, it's put a bit of smoke up at John Henry's backside, which is hopefully we do get a long-term target.
But I think that's obviously, there's some concern there. Is the fact, obviously, like Klopp spoke of maybe Origi being a game changer, but he's not in this matchday squad again. So he's not injured. So you wonder what is going on with Origi. Because obviously not been sold. So what's going on with him if he can't make the squad? And then obviously, Jota came on. And I think
he's just shit.
He struggled yesterday. He struggled big time, Jota, when he came on to bring it in. Except for that header chance, he really didn't make much an impact. He wasn't the only one. I think realistically, when you look at it, the only one out of the front three, the second half that had a good game was Salah. There's actually was linking up well with Elliott, and Trent was trying to create something. The few chances we had came from that right hand side. But yeah, so when you look at the second half, we started off the second half with 11 men. Chelsea down 10 men. So except for that first, maybe I think it's 10, 15 minutes where we looked for it, like really come out the blocks quickly. We had the VVD shot, the Fabinho shot from distance, and it looked as if Chelsea were like couldn't get out of the box. And then obviously, although we still dominate possession, in terms of the chances after that, kind of came more half chances, as you would, rather than clear cut chances. And I think at a point it may have felt that that we were doing the same thing over and over again. Trying to create space, and there was a lot of spam and crosses in from Trent, or on the other side you'd see the spam crosses in from Mane, or Robbo at times when he get the ball. He wasn't using himself either, Robbo, because a lot of times I felt there were times, especially in the first half, we were doing more attacks on the right-hand side than the left-hand side. Yeah. And I felt Robbo wasn't using himself in terms of like getting forward and getting crosses in or getting to the byline and doing stuff. So he kept sometimes cutting backwards and passing back, which you don't see Robbo. So to try and put more of a positive spin on it rather than coming from a negative point, it was clear for me personally, we could play that game for another hour. We weren't going to score, to be honest, after a certain point. How did you feel in terms of our management of that second half? Because Trent he put a post that was frustrating. They couldn't create the lack of creativity was an issue. So we'll start with you, Doug. Did you see that as well in terms of the lack of creativity, and they were doing the same thing over and over again in terms of getting crosses in? And was it frustration the fact that we weren't trying anything different? It's the same thing, trying to get to the flanks, get the ball in.
I think we were sort of limited to, sort of half chances. I mean, obviously there was a Hendo one that just went wide. There was the Fabinho one, which I thought was in. I thought Mendy completely missed that. It looked like he completely dived over the ball, and luckily, it went just. He managed to get that. And then obviously the Salah one, where I honestly don't know how he's missed hit that. Like, he's got so much time to actually hit that, and the fact that he's actually mishit that was very, very frustrating, because I think if he hits that sweetly, and I think that's in the back of the net, but I don't think it was a lack of trying. I think it was just we just kept crossing the ball into the box, and every single time it was going to Thiago Silva, it was going to a Rudiger, it was going to an Azpilicueta. And I suppose at times, Alonso as well. But if you actually look at it as well, I don't think Chelsea had a clear-cut chance in that second half anyway. I think it was all about them defending. And to be fair, I thought defensively they were fantastic. And for me, they are the team to beat in this Premier League. I honestly do. I've seen Man City this season look a little bit suspect defensively. Manchester United were very lucky to win today. I don't think they'll be in it. So I think Chelsea are the team to beat for me for the Premier League this season. But it's but as I said, I don't think we had limited them to, I think maybe one or two chances. But Lukaku didn't get past Matip. Matip was as solid as a rock, though. He was absolutely magnificent in that second half. And Van Dijk and Matip will be going home and emptying their pockets, wallet, keys, phone, Romelu Lukaku. And for all these people saying, Lukaku's going to destroy Van Dijk, Lukaku's going to destroy Matip, I can't remember Lukaku having one single chance yesterday. Simple as that.
That's definitely true there. Over to you, Finn, because when I've seen teams, normally when they're playing against a 10-man team, the key there is to move the ball faster, to move the ball faster in midfield. But there were times for me where I felt Liverpool play possession football. Like really slow pedestrian football, like there's no incisive quick passing.
I think I've sussed it, to be fair, and I'm not exactly Gerard Houllier out here or Rafa Benitez, but for me, when we started that second half and we kind of bombarded them with shot after shot after shot, outside the box shots, as Doug mentioned, obviously we tried to go down the left, we tried to go down the right, didn't work. I don't think that's where our attacking prowess is like limited. What we could and should have done is played the ball around the back, invited the pressure, opened up the game, made it a more open encounter, and then just hit them harder then. Because that's when the game would have been open wide. Allow them to play football and open up. for me, I didn't get a chance to see that because we were so aggressive. We were penning them in. They had 10 players, we had 10 outfield players. So effectively, unless Alisson comes up and joins us for a little kickabout, we're going to be evenly matched. The thing for me is when they pen themselves in and they form that low block, which we know is Liverpool's kryptonite, there's not going to be any chance of penetrating them unless we get one of those clear-cut gilt-edged chances to bury, which for me, VVD maybe had a gilt-edged chance shooting from range, but they're savable, especially Mendy. Another thing as well, Edouard Mendy is UEFA Goalkeeper of the Year. Like, props to him. He was outstanding performer yesterday. For me, man of the match. Bit out of order what he did for the penalty shout, but he deserved it. And it's not very often you see keepers give them sort of performances. But for me, we should have allowed them to come to us and just pass them to death. Let the game expand. Let the game open. They might have been instructed to sit back and soak up pressure, but they will have submitted players had we allowed them and invited them onto us. Don't forget, we have got an extra outfield person. So it doesn't work when you're cramming them in and they're sitting behind the ball and they're soaking it up. We've never been able to do it, whether it's Burnley, whether it's Atletico, or whether it's 10-man Chelsea this season. It's just not what we do. Open up the play, let it kind of breathe, and then just pass them and then find that ball into the box. The problem was in the second half is that due to Klopp, his hand was forced. His hand was forced because Bobby came off with a hamstring injury. So he was like, okay, Jota's on the pitch. We'll see what happens, yeah? The attacking impetus looked great. We looked like we went at them for 15 minutes solid, but you could see tiredness because it was attack after attack after attack. And the Chelsea players, they probably weren't even that knackered, really. Maybe Kovacic and Jorginho, because they were doing a lot of the running in the middle, especially when Kante came off. But when they're breathing, when they're chilling, and they've got no lactic acid built up in their legs, and we've got so much lactic acid built up in our legs, and we're constantly bombing down the left, bombing down the right, for me, we should have opened up play a little bit more, invited them into us, and then just done them that way, for me, personally. I feel like there was other options there, but we didn't utilize that. We just go, all right, attack, all out attack for 45 minutes, and they frustrated us. And the result was proven that it was 1-1.
I'm going to go to you, Sophie, with this. Like, was there an argument at half-time to take off Hendo and bring on Thiago or bring on Keita? Or maybe Thiago couldn't play the whole half an hour, 45 minutes, but bringing Keita because it needed something different. You know, we went out more or less to the same thing we did in the first half, really. There was no difference. And maybe if you look at someone like Keita's skills, he can take on players, he can do incisive passes, he can link up well with the front three, you know, or same with Thiago. Because he brought Thiago in for with 50 minutes to go. There's not much time for someone to make a real impact. And then Tsimikas with 10 minutes to go, the subs don't make sense. Why is he giving players such little time to make an impact or making the stages so long? Because, like, we can see it's not working. Hendo was struggling that time. He looked tired.
He looked knackered when he came.
Yeah. Do you feel that those subs were wrong and the structure earlier?
Yeah. Hendo and Harvey Elliott should have come off about the 50-minute mark. After 10 minutes into the second half, when obviously the attack, all-out attack, as Finn has just perfectly put it, that all-out attack, that constant press wasn't working. We need to open up the game. So take off Hendo, who was absolutely shattered, bless him, and Harvey Elliott, whose job is to attack, because it wasn't working. Bring on Naby Keita, who can draw them out to him, because he can dribble, he can finesse the ball a bit more than Harvey Elliott. Harvey Elliott's like a whipper. He'll just like this through them. And if that doesn't work, he goes again. Naby Keita will draw them out. Thiago will draw them out. They slow the tempo of the game down. And that sounds bizarre considering we've spent the first half saying we need to be quicker. I think when you're going up against 10-man defensive Chelsea, who are a £400 million unit, who were always going to be difficult to break down anyway, they took off one of their attackers and put on another defender to keep 5 at the back.
Yeah.
You know, that to me, when they came out in the second half with a 5 at the back again, taking off their attack and press, that to me would have said, all right, we can't go all out attack. It's not going to work. Let's slow the game down. Bring on Naby, bring on Thiago. Draw them out like blood out of a stone. Let them fall out of position. and then, as Finn said, cut through them. That's what needed to be done. And I think had those subs been made around the 56, probably close to the 60-minute mark, both of those players came off, both of those went on, it would have had more of an impact. We would have been able to draw them out, but they came on too late. And then by the time they came on and we tried to draw them out, it was too late. It was done.
I've got two things to say to that. And it's I agree with the sentiment. But for me, after Bobby got started yesterday, I don't have a clue how fit the bench were. I mean, if he's willing to start a 60% fit Bobby, how fit are the bench? And secondly, due to the fact that Bobby did get injured and got taken off for Jota, putting them last two subs on in the 50th, 55th minute could have risked more injuries and us having to withdraw a player. So I understand the conservative approach from Klopp, but it was managed slightly wrong. And that's why I agree with your sentiments.
But was Bobby officially 60% match fit, or is that just a rumour that's spinning around?
No. I've been told reliably.
It says something. If Klopp's willing to play 60% fit match Bobby, that says something. I don't think that I see where you're coming from, but I think he'll have played Bobby because Bobby's normally quite good at drawing them out and breaking down those blocks. That's what Bobby does.
Yeah.
And I understand why he's chose that over Jota, all-out attack, because like we said, attack didn't fucking work.
Mm-hmm.
I get that. That doesn't necessarily, to me, give me alarm bells going, well, with the bench fit. The bench.
Can you remember my three strikers that I picked for the... Can you, Doug or Sophie, remember the three that I picked?
Didn't you drop Mane?
You dropped Mane. You had Jota, Bobby and Salah.
Yeah.
And I get it. I get why you choose 60% Bobby, but that doesn't necessarily lend its hand to the rest of the bench when unfit. The rest of the bench could have been 100% match fighting fit, but he's gone statistically, logistically, and thought, well, historically for all the leads you could put into a sentence of, he's gone for what he knows. He knows Bobby can break it, and it's just unfortunate that Bobby wasn't 100% match fit, did have that niggle, has felt it and has to withdraw himself. I think it's quite not clever, but sensible of Bobby to withdraw himself as well. Because Bobby could have easily carried on. If it's just a niggle or just a slight pull, Bobby would push through that. He's like Robbo, he doesn't quit. So for him to have withdrawn himself, he's put the team before himself.
He was dropping deep towards the end of the first half as well. He was picking the ball up in just beyond in their half, just beyond the halfway line. And he looked like he was running around and he had to do all these flicks desperately to keep the possession going. And it just you could see that he was wincing. And initially when he did come off, I was like, what the hell? Why is he coming off?
Yeah, because I tweeted him, I was like, that's an early sub. Jesus, why?
Yeah. And then obviously we found out, but it was strange.
I think we get a bit panicky. When one player goes off with an injury, we get a little, because I'm the same, you get a little bit panicky and you start getting PTSD going, oh my God, is it going to happen again? You start thinking the worst case scenario. Oh my God, all the players must be unfit. No. Bobby's felt a niggle and has sensibly come off so that we limit the fact that will happen again. And I would rather a player feel a twinge, feel a niggle and come off and we draw a game because they've come off and we've lost that, that style of play that player performs for us. I'd rather that than him carry on playing and we get injured and then, 3 months down the line, we're in the same shit situation we were in last year.
That's the situation we were in with Jota against FC Midtjylland in the Champions League. He played for too long and he got him injured before he had the chance to take him off.
Same thing happened with Naby Keita. Overplayed himself trying to prove a point. And then led to a long, lengthy injury spell because he didn't let his body recover quickly. He got fit, he came in, he got injured. He wasn't fit enough.
Match fit,
We've seen the same with Milner. It was last week, Milner wasn't played because the physios and the medical team said, no, he's not quite there. There's something. He's not injured, but he's not match fit. And technically, he could have come back this game. But again, the physios and the medical team have gone, well, actually, no, he's still not 100%. And until a player is 100%, like we bitched and moaned last year that our medical staff were running players back before they were ready. And now you're getting people bitching and moaning because they're holding players back to make sure. I'd rather have that assurance that when that player comes back, like Virgil could have come back for the Euros. But he said no, the medical team said no, and they held off until pre-season. And even when he came back to pre-season, he still had, he was phased in. And I'm glad that was done because it's now limited that injury risk again. And the same will be done for Bobby. But we've got to not panic and go down that rabbit hole that means that every other player we've got is injured at the same time. It's touch wood, touch whatever's wood around me. It's probably not going to happen again. What happened last year? But we are a little bit traumatized by it that we just don't want it to happen again.
100%. And it's the fear is further impacted by the fact we've not made any marquee or key signings. You know, that's what worries the fan base, really, isn't it? I mean, obviously, I personally am happy with the group that we've got. I feel like we can challenge. I'm not sure necessarily that will take the spoils, but I feel like the squad is good enough and united enough, providing Bobby stays at a level that he was at last year and Mane maybe improves slightly as well.
We'll get on to, so going to get on to Mane in a bit, actually, because I want us to have a proper talk about Mane. There's really some of these comments here. Conway says that Drogba wasn't consistent, prolific. He got 254 games. That Salah's going to overtake that.
Yeah.
Seamus said that Salah had a cross in the box in the second half yesterday outside of the boot cross. Conway says that we were poor in the final third, simple as that. That Firmino played to combat Jorginho to stop control from Chelsea in midfield. Chris Edwards says that Lukaku has 0 goals in 6 games against VVD. My Red Television, hello, good to see you, mates. Chris Wells, good to see you, mates. Vinny Bones says Jota goes missing a lot of big games. My Red Television, 5-0 City, what prediction? Vinny Bones says Cage was worth a go. Annie says I would put on Cage as he's more direct. Chris says frustrating result for us not taking advantage of 10 men. Vinny Bones, it wasn't surprising they held out. Silva, Christian, Rudiger, LOL. Seamus ran out of ideas in the end. I feel we are lacking someone with creativity that can come on and change the game when needed. Elliot was my only man in the match. We'll get on to Elliot. Thiago slows the game down. Don't agree with that. Vinny Bones says Minamino even. So getting back to it. So I just want to touch on a few people. So first we'll touch on Elliot. 18-year-old, he didn't look out of place. You know, there were a few times he had a few sloppy balls. That's that's naturally going to happen. And you know, he had that one chance in the first half that was just, I don't think many saved it.
Snapshot, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then the one where he shot wide.
It was kind of high and wide, wasn't it? Yeah, he kind of like.
There was the other one though, when he shot across the ground.
Okay, I might be thinking of the other opportunity.
Yeah, the other one's a half chance. That was difficult to take.
Yeah. Well,
but he, you know, his stats were very good over the game. Like he did create chances. He created one big chance, I think it was, and his stats were very impressive. Some 18. Like how? Start with you, Doug. How amazing are you? Like how Bielit's taking like a duck to water. You know, in terms of like, it could easily for any player at that young age to bottle a big game like this against a team like Sophie said that's worth over 400 million. You know, but the fact is, like, he's got these balls of steel, doesn't shirk away from doing his defensive work, you know, and like completely different to say how you see Shaq sometimes playing for us. You know, Javier plays with fearless. So, you know, how good has Holly ever been for you?
Yeah, he's been fantastic. Fantastic the last 2 games. I think he was top of he was top of the stats yesterday. I think he had a very good game. He had a very, very good game. And yeah, obviously we're talking about the shot that he had just wide. I thought that was done. The minute he struck that, it was as sweet as anything. It just went wide. And then I think the one you're talking about is the one where we carved them open, and then Harvey Elliott, he's got to do better. But you know, he's only 18, and I do think the goals will start to come for him. It's quite funny now that actually like Harvey Elliott has kind of gone ahead of like Curtis Jones in sort of terms of development a little bit. So obviously Klopp has seen something in Elliott that sees them to start him. But yeah, I thought he was magnificent yesterday. I thought he was really, really good.
What about you, Sophie? How did you feel about Harvey Elliott in this big game? Like he, you know, didn't, like I said, like he looked as if he'd been playing for Liverpool for years in that game.
Look, Harvey Elliott is an absolute wonder kid, isn't he? He's absolutely phenomenal. I think when we signed him at 16 for Fulham, we all kind of went, what? And then when we saw him play in a couple of games when he came on as a sub, he came on the FA Cup games, and we've seen him on loan. We've just seen him develop into a really strong player already in 2 years. In the space of 2 years, with the loan spell and the under-21 spell, he's absolutely, his development has skyrocketed, which for a normal player in their 20s, you'd be impressed by. But it's made all the more impressive by the fact that he's only just turned 18. He's still so young and has so much more to learn, and his ceiling is incredibly high. I think him given the opportunity to start against Chelsea is an amazing thing by Klopp, and I think it shows that he puts a lot of stock and a lot of faith in Harvey Elliott, as we all do. But, you know, I've seen him play in person, and he is so much better than you see on TV. There's nothing quite like watching him. He is electric. Watching him on TV is great, but on the pitch, things the camera doesn't pick up or doesn't see, your eye goes to with Harvey Elliott. He is absolutely, you know, I just keep saying he's astronomical. He's absolutely brilliant. He is. There's no more adjectives or superlatives that I can use to describe him any better than already has been. He's got so much potential, and him starting for Chelsea was a massive step for him, and I hope that it continues because it boosts his confidence. And did anybody see his post-match interview where he thanked all the fans for coming out and hope they got home safe?
Yeah.
Like, he's so down to earth. I'm going to turn lights on. Nope, I see outside lights. There we go. Ooh, bright. Like, he's so down to earth. You don't get that in an 18-year-old kid. You know, an 18-year-old lad, it doesn't have that level of maturity. It doesn't have that skill. That's born talent, not learned. And he's just going to get better and better and better and better. And he's going to make mistakes. He's going to get spun round. He's going to get turned inside out, a bit like Trent did by Rashford. He's going to get battered at some point. We're going to put this really high seal on him. He's going to have a bad game. And people are going to come down on him like a ton of bricks. But we've got to remember his age, and we've got to remember these performances now. For me, the performances he has now up until a bad performance, we have to remember that. Because Klopp doesn't start just anybody against the top 6 team, especially a youngster like that. So that says something, really, doesn't it?
100%. What do you, just to wrap up on that, on Elliot, what about you, Finn?
Yeah, I agree with both of these guys' sentiments in the respect that we obviously got him in quite lucratively off of Fulham, team that I actually follow quite regularly. Believe the tribunal's still due to be sorted out on a fee. But, I mean, from what I've seen last year of him at Blackburn, as Sophie mentioned in the FA Cup games that I've seen him, he's been emphatic, absolutely emphatic. And for an 18-year-old kid, look, let's bear in mind that he's just old enough to buy a legal pint, right? And he's out there playing against 30-year-olds, 36-year-old Thiago Silva he was playing against is double his age. Can we just take a moment to reflect on Thiago Silva is double Harvey Elliott's age? And he's out there on the biggest stage against, I'm not going to lie about it, Chelsea are title favourites. And he's out there plying his trade. Okay, maybe for he's an 18-year-old, yeah, but decision-making in the final third, if he manages to secure that and make slightly better decisions in terms of output and end product at this level, the guy's going to be an absolute monster. I do have my reservations about getting him started off so early. I don't want to see him burn out, especially because this is the club that he loves. And I feel like just tying in with Sophie's point about how he's come out to the fans in a post-match interview, ensuring that they're getting home safe. He truly cares about the club. He loves the club. It's his team. He supports Liverpool. He always has, and he always will. Whether his career takes off from here or whether he ends up elsewhere, I'm sure the fan base will always back him because of how he is. And he's got some great people around him. I mean, I've used this story a few times, but Harvey Elliott turned up early to pre-season in the best shape that most of the fitness people did not realise what shape he would be in. He sat in the canteen. Mo Salah turned over. He's like, don't think you should have that slice of bread, mate. It's not going to be good for your career long term. And they're the sort of small nuances that are going to have a major impact on him at such an influenceable age. He's so young that he can be easily influenced. And if we support him with these sort of characters throughout his whole career, I have no doubt that he will continue in the upward trajectory. The one thing that I will say is we need someone who is either a lethal or natural finisher. in this team. Someone that has a better conversion rate than the players that we've already got, because you support Harvey Elliott with someone like that and Curtis Jones and some of the guys coming through the academy. They will inherit them traits like you would not believe. You would not believe how these young kids are absolute sponges on them training pitches. And you can see it. You can see it with Harvey Elliott. His development is just continued to be success from strength to strength. And I'm glad that he started all 3 games as well. He's had 3 games under his belt. I expect him to have a lot more, a minimum of 25 in the Premier League this season. And just hopefully it continues. I mean, he was a breath of fresh air against Chelsea. It was arguably him and Mo were our best 2 attacking threats all game. And that's someone that's been in the Premier League with constant output. We've just touched on how Salah's contributions, goals, assists, and you've got that guy next to an 18-year-old Harvey Elliott. I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
So just going to go on to the centre backs, because I think we need to talk about them, because obviously all week, you know, even in me and Sophie's preview for the Chelsea game, we had everyone beat up Lukaku. You know, and I said in that preview that as good as Lukaku is, everyone's overhyping him. They're making it as if he's like the best striker since sliced bread, you know. And I felt that when you look at it, everyone was talking about how Lukaku's going to destroy VVD, you know, and all the Chelsea fans expected that. You know, I think I've even seen stills of when there's a bit where Lukaku fouled Van Dijk and he fell over, and Chelsea fans are posting that photo saying Lukaku had Van Dijk on his ass. And I was like,
me up, Wahomie.
He cleared the ball.
He cleared the ball away after it. He cleared the ball away for a goal.
It didn't
holding on to that
to show the whole clip, did it?
No,
they're holding on to that. They're holding on to that.
Of course
So it's pathetic. But it's like, I think for me, everyone's wondering what level Van Dijk is going to be at. He just came against arguably one of the most informed strikers in Europe and had him in his back pocket. And there was, every time Van Dijk went near Lukaku went near Van Dijk, he got dominated. Even Matip, put it in here. Matip, there's a bit in the second half of Van Dijk. Lukaku's running down the wing trying to get overpace Matip. Matip just shoves him out of the way and takes the ball off him. Gets out of the way. Like, these 2 centre backs are world class for me, 100%. You know, especially Matip doesn't get the respect he gets from rivals, maybe because of his injuries, but most underrated centre back in the Premiership. So, just quickly with you, Doug, like, how good were the centre backs yesterday, and how impressive is it? Like, Van Dijk had a season, nearly career-ending injury, and he's just come back in and look like he's not been away.
He's just eased himself back in and just looked like completely boss, like Virgil is. I'm going to say this now. I thought Matip was my man of the match yesterday. I thought he was absolutely outstanding in that second half. Managed to keep Lukaku quiet. And yeah, that shove off the ball for Lukaku, just shoving him out of the way, just sort of easing him off. I thought that was very, very good. Yeah, I thought the 2 centre backs were fantastic yesterday, and I think Matip for me was man of the match, just because of that second half performance. But Virgil is as boss as ever.
Right, I'm just going to interject. I know we're talking about Matip and centre backs. But while you've been talking, I had to go and find off what Finn mentioned about it, level experience. I had to go and compare Chelsea's starting midfield and our starting midfield level experience in Korea since they went to senior football. Chelsea's midfield had 33 years worth of football experience at senior level. Liverpool's midfield had 24 years of experience at senior level. 11 of those years belonged to Jordan Henderson. So that's 13 years between Fabinho and Harvey Elliott, who had experience in midfield. I'm just saying. I just thought after Finn said that, I had to go and find the point. So I was like, how much difference in experience did we actually have in that midfield? And when you put it like that, that's quite astronomical. The fact that on average, that means each of their midfielders had about 11 years experience, mean average. 11. So Harvey Elliott, who's got 1 year of senior squad experience, including this whole season, which hasn't started yet. I'm just, for argument's sake, going up against somebody with 10 years more experience than him.
Yeah,
that's an amazing stat.
Yeah. The one thing I was
actually stats and stats.
it wouldn't really scratch the surface, but the one little pushback to that I would say is that because of Harvey's age, he plays fearlessly. But so that is a positive that goes against the experience. But I mean, that only scratches the surface against experience, like you were mentioning. I mean, I always like to find like these little details that might actually balance it out a little bit. But you're totally right. Experience outweighs.
Oh, it's Charles!
Charles, give the big our resident Tottenham fan.
Yeah,
Good
but
to see
when
you, Charles.
it isn't for everybody either, Charles. So, you know, when you've got the most decorated trophy cabinet in English football, then come back and talk. But last time I checked, the only thing in yours was dust.
So,
The Audi Cup.
Charles.
The Audi Cup.
Last year, kept saying to us, Charles, Tottenham were going to win the treble every time, or the quad.
He says it every year.
Yeah.
What was it? They're going to win the quad. Then when that got knocked out, we're going to win the treble. Then we're going to win the double. Then we're going to win the league. And it's like, we're going to win it next year. All you say, he just goes dwindles down the list.
So before one other thing, I just want to touch on is Sadio Mane. Now, I don't want to single out just purely Mane, but I think like some stats I saw, like he lost possession 32 times yesterday, completed 0 dribbles, had no shots on goal, 0 chances created. So last year, Mane was a concern, you know, so we all thought he got the rest over the summer. But yeah, except for the goal in the Burnley game where he did, you know, he looked kind of frustrated figure until he got that goal. But then, I don't know what's going on with Mane. Is he concerned for you? Like, don't want to go around people, concerned for you still, because why is he, like, you know, before obviously we started the podcast, we were saying that he's lost a bit of a yard of pace. They can take on players or, you know, and that ability just goes past players they used to have. So is it fatigue still that's still stopping him? You know, what is it that's we're not seeing the Mane of 2 years back? We're still seeing the same Salah, more or less, but Mane's concerned a bit because, you know, I thought I said at the beginning of the season that Mane's going to take the season by storm this year because he had the rest, you know, stuff. But yeah, so we'll start with you, Finn. Like, how what's your opinion on Mane?
Them, just so you know, Wahomie, them words will never leave my mouth. For me, as Mane conceded after pre-season, he said, this is the longest break I've had in 4 years. Not always necessarily a good thing because form, obviously sharpness, that is all impacted. The reason, just to make a little segue quick, the reason that the Brazilian guys aren't going to their squads is because they will have to isolate for 10 days. If you're isolating for 10 days, muscle waste, etc., etc., etc. You go on holiday for a week, your muscle waste, if you're not training, is you got to be careful with. And especially after the season he had last year, where he was in decline somewhat, which I would say he was in decline. Other fans may rebel or rebuttal. However, we've seen enough evidence last year that Mane is a shadow of his former self. He came back reinvigorated. Very indifferent performance versus Norwich. Missed a few chances, as I expected. Maybe not so many other fans. Norwich, again, it took his goal well, but one came over the back and it pinged off his shin, flew over the bar. It was a half chance, but it was a chance that Mane of 18, 19 would finish. Let's not lie. And then yesterday for me, I said to both Doug and Sophie, drop him for this game. I feel like Jota has more impetus. I feel like Bobby, as we've previously discussed, he has more dropping in and out of the hole. And then Mo is just Mo. Mighty glorious Mo. So I've always had my reservations, especially since last year over Mane. I just don't know where this takes us going forwards. I do think he's going to be able to still register about 10 Premier League goals, 12 Premier League goals. But it's going to be a long season for Mane. And I feel like it's going to be a long season for Bobby as well, especially if we're starting to see these little niggles and these little muscle injuries as these players age. And a lot of these players have got long-term contracts. Some of them are going to be there till they're 32, 33, 34. So that does pose a worrying kind of outlook for me. I don't know what your guys' views are, but yeah, in terms of Mane, I don't think he's finished, but we're going to have to shop around for someone to come in to fill his boots as soon as we can.
What about you, Sophie? Like, I see you want to say something. Like, do you agree with that? Or are you thinking it's just form. He's going to come back.
I get where Finn's coming from. I completely see his point. I agree with the point he's making, but then equally, the word that comes to mind, and this is not about you, Finn, I just mean in general, is fucking spoilt. You have, as a fan base,
for
we
4
have
years,
fucking spoilt year in, year out by Mane and Salah's goal control. And we spoke about before how Mo Salah is a different breed completely. You cannot compare the average striker or winger to Mo Salah. There's a reason that every stat says only Mo Salah has more. He's like Virgil. He's in a league of his own. You can't compare him. So stop fucking comparing Mane to Salah, because it's never going to work. It's always going to make Mane coming off worse. It always is.
Okay,
I'm sorry. I know Mane fell off last season. I will admit Mane's form did drop dramatically from what we'd seen. However, Mane has never had a break. And as you've just said, he's had 4 weeks off. Not necessarily the best thing in the world for him. But equally, he may have needed that to recoup. But it's 3 games in. What do you want 3 games in? Not every player. There are 11 players on that pitch. There are 3 substitutions that can be made. At one point, at maximum, you can have 14 different players on that pitch. And you want every single player to drop a 10 out of 10 stellar performance week in, week out in the most intense league in the world. There's a reason we say a lot of European players don't come to England to play football, because they can't hack it. Mane has played every match possible that he can, unless it's due to injury or international duty at AFCON. He's played every single match to the best of his ability since 2015. What more do you want from this man? Cut him a little bit of a break, because I'm sorry, but 2 years ago, it was Bobby who was getting drugged through the mud. Every week, Bobby's shit. Bobby can't do this. Bobby. Then Bobby picked up a little bit and we all kind of went, there's Bobby. Brilliant. We've seen Bobby drop off in form, but not drop in form because he can't do it. It's his roles changing. Okay? Maybe Mane's role needs to adapt now and change. That's not necessarily a bad thing. But what gets me is people are whinging because Mane's not hitting Mo Salah numbers in goals. Nobody hits Mo Salah's numbers in goals. There's a reason why. But I'm sorry, but 3 weeks into the season, when there's 35 weeks of football left to go, plus international duty, plus Champions League games, you want him to constantly perform at a ridiculously high level without having a single drop in form. Have you ever thought for 1 second that he's easing himself back into the season? We've had 2 relatively easy fixtures. Norwich we battered about every single year. Burnley, a little bit more of a tough ask, but he got a goal from it. And then we played Chelsea. So we've gone from easy, little bit tricky, smack bang, Champions League winners.
What I will say is, though, after the international break, they're up to 3 games a week. How's he going to cope with that?
How do you know he's not going to cope with that? After 3 games in, you cannot make a solid judgment.
Because what you need is output. I'm not disputing the fact that
I'm not arguing with you, I mean in general.
Yeah, no, of course, this is good discussion. But the thing is we're Liverpool FC. Yes, we're spoiled because the last 4 years have been so successful for us. And 5 years ago, I would have been happy to take 4th and the quarterfinals of the Champions League. That's always been my barometer. As a Liverpool fan, that's what I'm always happy with. However, the last 4 years, we've been competing for Champions Leagues. We've been competing for leagues. If you start to see a decline...
I completely agree.
If you start to see a decline in Bobby and Mane, you need to support that from somewhere else, right? For me, if we're going to win a league, you need to have 2 players scoring top 5. You need 2 top 5 goal scorers in the Premier League. And if it's not going to be Bobby because his role's adapting, Mane needs to step up and take accountability for his output. And that's just for me, really, because Origi's not going to do it. Minamino's not going to do it. Harvey Elliott's not going to do it. So, unfortunately, the 200 grand a week player that is Sadio Mane needs to step up and start converting some opportunities.
I do
not go missing in big games. Like
do not disagree at all. Completely and utterly back your opinion. That is completely true. I agree with that. But you can sit there and say Mane needs to step up. Mane needs to work on not losing the ball. As LFC's just said there, not getting past anyone. That needs to work. That needs to improve. I'm not disputing that, and I'm not sitting here defending Mane saying he's playing brilliantly when he's not. That's not realistic. But I don't see what's slandering a player, threatening that they need to be dropped. That's not going to help. I'm sorry, but
it does add pressure. It adds pressure.
Yeah, you can criticize a player's performance, and you can be, very matter of fact about it. You can criticize a player, not a problem. That we all do it. We all sit there and we all pull them apart, put the performances. That's the nature of the game. They know that. But what right do we have to say he needs to be dropped? That we said before.
I can't talk because before the Chelsea game, I dropped him, so I can't talk.
We said before when we were talking about the referee, who gives fans the right to determine a referee should be dropped? Who gives fans the right to decide whether Sadio Mane needs to be dropped? And I'm sorry, but if you're already worrying, which Mane has said himself that he actually went to the medical team to see if there was something wrong with him as to why he was dropping form. He thought there was a medical reason for his ability. So he's already got that internalized pressure on him. And I'm sure the staff and that around him and the team around him are really trying to support him. How do you not know he's having a crisis about his career at the minute already? Added on top of that, you've got fans wanting him dropped 24/7. That's not going to help. And I've always been behind the thing that you can criticize the boys, that's fine, but you've got to stand by them. And for me, standing by them doesn't say fucking drop him because he's shit.
I mean, that exact point is literally why Gini Wijnaldum came out after and said, I left because the fans piled pressure on me. Maybe it was contractual, maybe it was financially motivated, but he did come out afterwards and say, I left because I would be playing as best as I can. I'll be given 6 to 8 out of 10 performances week in, week out. And the fan base would be the people who are coming for my head saying, Gini, you've not played well enough. And we might imagine Mane has the season that he has. Chelsea sniff around at him in January because Havertz or Werner gets injured and or Man City or Real Madrid even. And they're like, okay, I'll go there. I'm not going to get the pressure. I'm going to be a key figurehead in one of these teams, and I have got the ability. So the thing is, it's really, really fine margins between fans criticising a player and a player moving on because they just cannot tolerate the fan base.
I think it's too early to just before we move on, because I know we need to move on because we can argue about this all day until we're blue in the face. But for me, we can criticise players, like I've said, but 3 games in is far too early to criticise a fucking player. You can criticise their match performance.
That's a thing.
Over the whole season. Do not fucking judge him. And I'll get angry about this because it's the same thing that happened with Gini. And all last year, I sat there and defended Gini to the hilt because people didn't see. And now he's gone. They're all going, we need a Gini replacement. We had Gini and you didn't fucking respect him. You pushed him away because of your attitude. And the same's going to happen to Mane. And you know what? You keep, as a fan base, you keep fucking hounding these players. You judge them off one match for the whole season instead of just putting your rational head on and going, that was a bit of a poor, that was a poor 90 minutes. You should have done this, should have done that, should have done that. Let's see what the next game is. Wipe the slate clean. After a couple of performances, maybe a month or 2, if it's the same and there's no improvement, then you kind of go, now we need to look at things logistically. That is called being a rational fan and standing behind your players and then going, maybe we need to look at the outer aspect of the team. But people writing Mane off 3 games in is a fucking disgrace. I'm sorry, it is. And that's the last I'll say on the matter.
Just before I get to Doug, so for those who say Mane was poor last season, there's not been much of a change in terms of him so far this season, is a right concern that's just going to carry on though? Because
Mane did start the season last year very well. He did look great. And maybe that was due to the fact that he got a rest and whatnot, but he tailed off for that middle part of the season and kind of gradually picked it up towards the end of the season as well as Bobby did. So I wouldn't say writing him off, but I'm glad Sophie did say about rating his match performance, about that individualized match performance. And Wahome, you read the stats. The stats are there. It's cold, hard evidence that he went missing in a big game. And that's why I made the prediction to have dropped him pre-game. I mean, I'm not Jurgen Klopp, unfortunately, but a lot of fans have the foresight to recognize that. But I don't think it's mixed. It's mixed though. Each fan is a different opinion. It's all subjective. It's what you kind of pick out as an individual to highlight. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, just quickly with you, Doug. What's your point, Mane?
I think people saying that he is finished after 3 games this season, like, honestly, if you're not supporting the players, then go support another club. Simple as that.
Nice one. Perfect.
Perfect.
Me and Finn went on a massive 20-minute rant, and Doug goes, "If you can't support them, find another club." Like, to hit the nail on the head. Me and you go on a fucking 20-minute rant.
Love
We
it.
move on.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna move on to
A poor performance that could have been better, but could have been worse. Let's do trivia.
yeah, I'm just gonna move on to the new thing we're doing. So just want you guys to both everyone say who impressed you and who left you wanting more. Start you, Doug. For Liverpool
Who
side.
impressed me? Elliot, Matip, Van Dijk. Who the one
Only one
more
player.
from?
Only one player.
Only
player
one.
for me. Yeah.
I'll say Matip. Who did I want more from? Jota.
Finn?
Okay, impressed me the most. Harvey Elliott. He's 18-year-old, marauding. Really impressed me. Mane left me wanting more. And it's the cold hard stats that you brought up. I didn't realise they were as shocking as that. I mean, the eye test for me was enough, but when you drag them stats up, that's really shocked me. And it might be a bad day at the office, but you dust yourself off and you go again at Leeds.
Soph?
Impressed, Matip. Obvious reasons. Always gets written off. Always the underdog. Absolutely pocketed Lukaku with the spare change in his cotton wool fluff and lint. Left me wanting more, Robbo.
Yeah.
Robbo?
I think for me, impressed me with VVD in terms of his performance against the big man Lukaku. Left me wanting more. Probably was Mane. We'll do.
That's a good point you make, though, Wahomie, about VVD. He really did stand up to the test, didn't he? He really did stand up to that
Did you
test.
expect anything less?
I was worried about the knee. That was it. That was all. I mean, I didn't dispute his ability. I didn't dispute his credibility. It was just how he would fare against last week he played against Ashley Barnes, who's very physical anyway, and he proved the doubters wrong there. So I don't know why I was so concerned, but it was a small concern.
So quickly, man of the match, Doug?
Matip.
Finn?
Mendy.
Soph?
Matip.
I think for me, man of the match, I think I'll go VVD, definitely. All right. Let's move on to this trivia.
Let's lighten it up at the end.
That
That was quite intense. that was rather intense. Because I actually texted Doug before this and was like, "Oh, I can't be dealing with big, massive debates today," and then I start them all. So sorry, boys. Right, this is probably going to start another debate. Actually, now, Jesus Christ, there we go. Number one, what's your worst sport? What sport can you not stand and think it should be relegated from the world of sport?
Cricket.
Oh no, I can't agree with that. I love a bit of cricket.
Fine. Yeah, cricket. It's between cricket and bowls for me.
Bowls. That stimulating game of bowls.
Boxing. I don't like boxing. And what's it? The stuff that Conor McGregor does. What is it? WWE? Is it WWE? MMA. Yeah, I can't have that. No.
Okay. Oh, go on, Bahome. Oh no, you said go on, Sophie. I've got to think. This is a hard one. I love sport.
I get stick for this all the time. Formula One.
Oh, you just nicked mine.
Can't stand it.
Yeah, pointless.
You spend all that money going and stand there, and you watch a car go 2 minutes later. 2 minutes later. It's like, and it's always the same people who win it all the fucking time, isn't it?
And it ain't cheap to go and watch it.
Boring.
I'm
not disputing that there's skill involved. There's a lot of skill because I couldn't drive a car at 200 odd miles an hour around a track. Like, I'd fucking kill myself. I'd like to decapitate myself. Like, honest to God, I mean, I'm a crap driver anyway. Keith will tell you I'm the world's worst. I'm an aggressive driver. Don't know where that come from, like.
Surprising.
I know, it's such a surprise. It's such a surprise. But I just can't stand it. And I think it shouldn't be a sport because it's not. For me, sport is something you need to be fit. And you sit in a car and you go,
Yeah.
That's bad. I hate it.
So Annie says cricket here. So just reading the comments. Yeah.
What's yours?
Oh, do you know what? I was struggling to think of one. I was going to say Formula One. You stole it.
Formula One.
To be fair, I think it's the most redundant sport there is going. But there's such a large following for it, and I never realised until recently. But it is. It's just you go around the world, you gallivant, you pollute the atmosphere, and yeah.
What a political Annie over there.
Yeah, it's just totally agree with the sentiment of that.
Right. Okay. Next one. Your favorite TV show growing up.
Oh,
Bet you can guess mine.
TV show growing up.
If you can't guess mine, I'm not friends with any of you ever again.
Oh, I think I know yours. It's Friends, isn't it? Yeah.
Can't be anything but.
Go on,
I was always the Cartoon Network, so like Tom and Jerry, Dexter's Laboratory.
Thank you.
Love Dexter's Lab.
I was watching The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy on YouTube the other day.
Oh my god, I forgot that existed.
Such a good TV show.
Do you remember Ed and Eddie as well?
Yes. He's so brilliant.
Recess was so good.
Recess, yeah.
I love it. Go on, behind me, what's yours?
Favorite TV show ever. It's a tough one.
I've got one, but I don't know if growing up. I've got one that's now.
Well, you can pick. It doesn't have to be growing up, because Friends is something that I didn't obviously start watching until I was like 13, and then have been addicted with for the last 13 years of my life.
For me now, it's What We Do in the Shadows. I don't know if any of you have seen that, but
no,
it's amazing.
Is that Rockford Vamp?
Yeah, the vampire one.
It's
on BPI Player. It's amazing. It's
is
really
that the one where it's like a fake documentary type thing where they follow?
Yeah, it's like mockumentary.
Horrendous.
I love mockumentaries. So I love People Just Do Nothing. I love all that mockumentary stuff.
I love The Office though. The Office is brilliant.
Yeah,
The Wire.
The Wire. Never seen it.
Serious and intense, that one, isn't it? Well, Homie, you strike me as a serious guy though.
The Wire. I was gonna say Breaking Bad as well.
Oh,
I didn't fancy that. I watched all of that and I was like, didn't tickle me.
I've got 2 episodes left, and I still haven't watched them. I just can't.
I've watched all of Game of Thrones except from the last season.
Don't watch it.
I know, I haven't. I've done it on purpose. Yeah.
Oh,
I really enjoyed it.
What's one TV show you can't use Game of Thrones because we've just watched it, where the ending really disappointed you?
Lost.
Yeah.
That went on for years as well, didn't it?
24.
For me, I don't know. You know, I haven't got one that I can just draw off the top of my head.
Dexter.
I haven't seen that.
Oh, Dexter was. Anyone else watch Dexter?
Dave.
Yes, it is. Yes, Dexter is a phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal TV show. The entire thing is a sociopath, but he only kills bad people. He's faking, real life.
I don't know what it is.
Absolutely fantastic. And then all of a sudden, too many people find out, and the ending is just. You have to bring it back, like 5 years or so after finishing it, to recreate the ending to fix it because people kicked off about it that much. But yeah, How I Met Your Mother as well, Conroy. Absolutely furious at the end of How I Met Your Mother. You spend all that time with the story, and then he goes, "But I love your Aunt Robin." And the mum's head.
If Being Led On was a TV show, it's that TV show, isn't it?
Oh, your mother, all that. To then get 1 30-second clip of the mum with the yellow umbrella, and then she's dead. No, not happy. Right, last one, and then unless anyone else has got anything else, what's one food you cannot stand?
Brussels sprouts.
Marmite.
Oh,
that's
like, oh.
Oh, Marmite's a bit of me. It's avocado for me. Ugh.
I'm gonna be really weird here. Fruit. I can't do fruit. I can, if I blitz it into a drink, I can drink it. But you know, like when you get a yogurt or a juice when it's got the pulp in it.
But they're so different. Each fruit, like berries compared to a banana, is completely different.
It's the texture. It's the having to bite through skin and no, I can't. Never been able to eat fruit. Still can't do it. Still can't. Don't like it. Hate it.
Multivitamin for Sophie instead.
I just live on this.
Dr. Pepper.
I had noticed.
Literally, that's why it says in my bio, Dr. Pepper Gremlin, because this is my life source. Right.
All right. That's the last one, right?
Yeah, I haven't got anything to add. No would you rathers or anything like that today. So
Perfect. Yeah. Well, let's wrap it up then, because it's been a long one today.
It's been a big rant. About 90% of this has been me and Finn arguing.
So everyone, you've been amazing in the chat as always. Like, I loved your comments. You've been fully active. Do smash that like, subscribe button. You haven't done. And also do check out Doug's show. If you haven't, it's a great show. He does all football teams, so go check it out. And you can catch Finn on different podcasts, right?
that's right. Yeah. So you'll be able to see me this season on Saint LFC TV, where I should be hosting my own show. So it'd be great to invite you guys on throughout the season.
Excellent.
I will be joining the likes of Doug. I'll be joining the likes of Yanks of the Cop. I'll be joining the likes of Dave LFC Chats, Jack Mack. The community is so amazing, guys, and I really do implore you, each and every time that you see one of us, just join the community. Do smash a like, do smash a subscribe, hit the notification bell, and just follow us on our social channels, whether it be Instagram, whether it be Twitter. The community is great with the Liverpool stuff, and I've only been a part of it for a very short while. So, yeah. Cheers again for having me on as well today, guys. So
Thank you very much, boys.
Appreciate it. Yeah, so everyone, so if you've got following, do give everyone a follow. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up there. We will be back after the international break. So there's not going to be we might have something during the international break, but there's no pre-matches or anything like that until the national break is over. Otherwise, we'll catch you all soon. Have a great evening. And up the Reds.